For the record, I am Senator Ben Brown of the 26th District, and would like to thank the committee for the opportunity to present Senate Bill 987. This is a very simple bill pertaining to an area statute that already exists. It simply aims to ensure accountability and that the protections already enshrined in statute are accessible to taxpayers who, by no fault of their own, fall victim to an erroneous assessment of their real property. Current law provides that a taxpayer shall be awarded costs and reasonable attorney fees for any appeal of an assessor's classification of real property that is found by the State Tax Commission or a court of competent jurisdiction to be an erroneous classification. The problem is that, despite what the law says, it's not currently always being enforced. This bill would address this issue by creating an enforcement mechanism for the current law when not followed, in the form of a cause of action for someone to recover these costs and fees as well as damages that come as a result of the erroneous classification. This bill was spurred by a real-life situation that one of my constituents was forced to deal with. It was a situation where their property was erroneously classified as commercial. As stable owners, they were doing what every other farmer or similar business was doing in the same county: cleaning the barn, buying hay, fixing fences, and caring for animals. Yet they were perhaps the only farm to be misclassified as commercial rather than ag. The result was a $16,500 property tax bill, which would have likely put their small stable out of business. This error couldn't have been more transparent and was clearly going to be an open and shut case. However, in order to proceed, they were left with no other option than to hire an attorney and file an appeal, the cost of which was $9,300. That amount also doesn't take into account the time lost from work addressing this, nor the unnecessary anxiety and sleepless nights they caused. According to current law, the taxpayer shall be awarded costs of the appeal. But as this constituent found out, navigating that process is not outlined in statute and proved nearly impossible. After reaching out to various county officials as well as the State Tax Commission, they received conflicting responses and were unable to receive any answers as to how she could proceed with recouping these costs. As a result, she has not been able to recoup any of the costs associated with the appeal as required by law. This constituent, Ruth Weichman, was here to share her story and testify in favor of this bill last year when it was presented as Senate Bill 759, but unfortunately was out of town and unable to make it here in person today. She did, however, provide insight about her personal experience with this issue in writing, which I believe has been distributed to the committee and you should have in front of you. I'll also just point out that last year's bill, which was identical to the one before you, passed this committee with unanimous support. And with that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions.